day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Friday, August 7. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced that strict measures are coming in an effort to limit the spread of COVID-19 as the country recorded 30 new cases in a day. During a press conference on Independence Day, Mr. Holness said a large percentage of the population were flouting the law as it pertains to the Disaster Risk Management Act. Among the slew of measures expected is a tightening of the curfew time, restriction on the movement of residents, and adjustment to the quarantine orders for incoming travelers. The announcements will be made by Tuesday.
I've always said that if the situation warrants it, then we will have to extend existing or implement new restrictive measures. We have spent a lot of time and effort and resources on moral suasion, asking you, the citizens, appealing to your good conscience and your reasonableness to observe the protocols. With what is happening now, I think we are at the limit in moral suasion.
Up to news time, the country's novel coronavirus cases stood at 958. Of that number, 745 persons had recovered, leaving 149 active cases. Approximately 26 of the confirmed cases have been linked to the Church Corner community in St. Thomas, forcing the government to place the area and its environs under quarantine. On August 6, a quarantine order was also implemented for the Sandy Bay community in Clarendon after 2 positive cases of the virus were admitted at the Maypen Hospital. Meanwhile, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton toured the quarantined communities of Sandy Bay in Clarendon and Church Corner in St. Thomas today. Dr. Tufton said it was necessary to meet with residents in the affected communities to have a first-person understanding of the health and safety issues impacting the areas.
The team is in place and work is currently being done on the ground, and that will continue for the next 2 weeks. So far, persons have been very cooperative. The same rules apply, as is the case of St. Thomas.
The health officials will continue finalizing the logistics within the communities to allow for the expedited rollout of ongoing contact tracing, sampling of persons, and public education. The minister says all positive cases are being pinned to GPS mapping for analysis and to inform the ministry's strategy going forward. The health team is also working with the Ministry of Labour and Social Security to coordinate care for the households under quarantine in the communities. To date, 5 communities have been placed under quarantine, with the other 3 orders previously lifted. In other news, hundreds of residents in Orocabessa and Three Hills, St. Mary, are now benefiting from internet and other related services. Community access points were established at the Spicy Grove Youth Center in Orocabessa and the Three Hills Resource Center in Tower Isle. Both are financed by the Universal Service Fund and were officially commissioned into service on Wednesday. Technology Minister Fable Williams says their opening will support the delivery of education in the new school year against the backdrop of the global pandemic and its restrictions.
This is the new Jamaica, and we're working to create a technology-enabled society that can meet the needs of the digital age. As a ministry, we recognize that government has an integral role to play in creating the enabling environment that will allow more Jamaicans to access internet and basic services. You well know that with the outbreak of COVID-19, the demand for technology has become even greater.
The minister urged residents to make the best use of the facilities. They are among 400 community access points providing internet and other services which have been established island-wide, with 6 now being located in St. Mary. The Education Ministry is developing an app that will grant students easy access to academic materials in the upcoming school year. Acting Chief Education Officer Dr. Kassan Troop revealed the news during the ministry's back-to-school digital town hall meeting on Tuesday.
This application will be available to all our students, those students who will be providing technological support for, and those students who will bring their own device.
She says the app will allow access to the learning materials even if students are without data service.
The textbooks can be accessed through this, our e-resources can be accessed through this, and we have downloaded over 83 different learning applications that will be made available. Our teachers will become familiar with these and we'll plan these in the learning episodes. So those who are working from home, they'll be able to access the materials offline and continue as they come back to school for the follow-up discussions.
The information session was jointly hosted by the Ministry, the National Parenting Support Commission, and the National Parent-Teacher Association of Jamaica. Still on education, 569 schools will resume normal operations when the 2020-21 academic year commences in September.
So it means that everybody will be in the same space every day. And of course, we have to observe the physical distancing. So with the infrastructure that we have in place in these institutions, they will be able to accommodate their fully enrolled students.
Dr. Troop gave the information during the back-to-school parent information session. Other institutions will be implementing a blended learning approach and forging stakeholder partnerships aimed at adequately facilitating physical distancing protocols for students in keeping with COVID-19 regulations.
And some of these schools will get what we call temporary learning spaces via tent or via rental agreements with nearby institutions such as our churches or those that have conference halls or so forth.
Meanwhile, she says an additional 303 primary and secondary schools will resume operations under the rotation model. Several other institutions will be utilizing the extended school model with students in attendance on a shift system, as well as using online modality for engagement. And finally, in a move to highlight local cancer statistics and trends, the Misty Blue Cancer Care Foundation will be spearheading a number of teleconferences. The foundation's chairman, Dorothy Satchwell, says each month, from August to December, the teleconference will focus on the most common types of cancers locally.
For the month of August, we look at cancer in general. For the month of September, which is prostate cancer month, we are going to be looking specifically at prostate cancer, which is the highest recurring cancer that we have been having in terms of mortality. Then for the month of October, we'll be looking at breast cancer. November is pancreatic month. It is also lung cancer month. So for the month of November, we look at lung cancer. And then in December, we'll be looking at colon and ovarian and cervical cancer.
Ms. Satchwell was speaking recently at a JIS think tank. She says from the teleconferences, they plan to submit a recommendation document to the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The events will be streamed during the second Wednesday of each month from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Zoom, the Foundation's YouTube and Facebook pages, as well as JIS's YouTube and Facebook pages. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.